Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the MotoGP Sprint Championship. Today we're at Termas de Rio Honda in Argentina for one of the hottest rounds I've probably ever had in a GP Bikes League race. You will see as we get into the main race and sprint race, we have track temperatures of above 50 degrees, which is something a bit different. It's not your usual races that are at kind of 25 to 35 is usually maybe a 40 at the odd place, but 50 degrees track temperature is a little bit special. But in today's one we have of course our sprint and our main race from Argentina. Now Argentina historically is a track that when MotoGP get to it hasn't had much running from the previous time GP get there, which means it's usually dirty now. Unfortunately, we don't have that level of simulation in GP bikes, but what we can do is have a track that has very little low grip, and that is pretty much Argentina in this game. It has a very little grip on this mod, so it kind of in a way simulates having a dirty track, because from a green track to a rubber track the lap time changes about 3 to 4 seconds. Here we are at the end of qualifying. Last lap across the line, and we actually managed to qualify second once again, 0.75, 3/4 of a second behind Savani on his GP23. Again, I'm by no means a specialist in qualifying. I wouldn't say that it's my strongest feat at all, so front row is amazing. Here we go in the sprint, 4 red lights. Can we get a good start? Got 2 balloons already, a good initial launch, and then I had to kind of just go quiet for that. Every time I watch it back, I'm kind of hoping that it doesn't happen and it keeps happening. So, 3 races, 3. Probably, I don't think we've gotten our knee down at turn 1 in any race yet, which is sad. So, that's twice we've been taken out pretty much in the initial launch. So it's getting annoying because as you see here now, we're miles back again. This track is better than Valencia for passing, but by no means is it easy because it's such a flowing track. It still takes quite a lot of commitment and bravery, and it's a high speed track, which means everything is a little bit more precise to make an overtake. You have to be very, very careful, and even the couple of heavy braking zones that you have, they're all a bit difficult to get a move on. So by no means is this going to be easy to get back to, shall we say, good points in the sprint. We're down here in, by the looks of it, P14, 15, judging by Max Hood. We have to get up into the top 10 to score 1 single point, so we're a long way back. That is an Aprilia of Boxer coming back from an early spill. The riders around me at the moment, Superman, Biker and Foxer, all people that should be at the front, so we're all having a bit of a moment. Once again, another mistake on the opening lap, so I was pretty pissed off with this one at the start just because of it's like 3 races. I can't believe again it's happened to us, but it's kind of still annoying me that we're again having to fight our way back through, because you just want a clean race and again make a mistake in behind Boxer. Unfortunately, that happened. So essentially, he brakes slightly earlier than I'd imagined, and basically it picked the bike up to not to skittle him. And on this mod, if you kind of unload the bike in a way, it just starts like a mad process of a kind of doom really, and we decide to think that the best option is to hard reset instead of riding back, and probably cost myself more time there, just again more frustration. Got taken out on the grid and then a little spill there. That was Endrick onto Ducati, obviously having a pretty bad sprint. He must have just crashed there in the very fast turn 6 as well, so he's currently back in last. So we've had 2 crashes on the opening lap. It is 10 laps this sprint, it does say 9, but the first lap is duplicated because of a start light glitch, so we'll have an extra lap in both races. But to go back to the Boxer issue there, just the way he brakes slightly earlier, again, nothing he did wrong. It was his own racing lane. Like, you have to, anyone that overtakes, you have to overtake cleanly. That is Superman on his Honda, no longer on his Honda, I should say. So that's another position gain. You'll see here there's a couple of clips of me just kind of getting past people that have binned it, and more yellow flags through the fast left. I believe that was Melandri on the VR46 Ducati, I believe. And we are catching Carrasco now ahead on a fellow Aprilia, so we could probably actually have our first person on track that we actually have to overtake will be another Aprilia. But with the Boxer issue coming into the penultimate corner, in Valencia, when I got taken out, I kind of was just like, oh damn it, but it wasn't really a thing that much to me at the time. I kind of didn't even care, to be honest, and it was annoying, like, but it was like, fair enough, we'll push through. And I got back into my rhythm, started making overtakes, was clean, was okay, but for some reason here, when that happened, I just got really annoyed, and then I got to the point where I was basically doing qualifying laps. So where I was breaking into the final 2 corners where I nearly ran into back of Foxer, that's like me on my limit there, and you can see how much I gain on him, because obviously he's more in a race mode. He's thinking, well, I've 10 laps to go here now, I don't need to risk everything into corner, whereas I was so far back, and I was sick of again coming from the back of the grid after qualifying second 2 rounds in a row. That's 2 races in Valencia and 1 race here already that our qualifying grid position is basically nothing. And yeah, we threw it away, so that was kind of the issue with that. More focus here on Carrasco. He's had a poor run out of turn 2 and a pretty bad run through 3, which means we are gaining a lot of speed. We're up into 220 miles an hour almost, and unfortunately coming in here though, small issue again with Manners mods is, you'll see it soon, we're kind of sliding, but as soon as he goes back to first gear, it just does that, and we lost our podium in Valencia because of that. It's the inconsistency of that, because I was very heavily loaded and went back at gear. Now you are going into first, which is always a bit more awkward, but I don't feel like that crash should have happened, and I believe it happens to someone else, and that could easily have happened to Carrasco, who's crashed a couple of laps later in the same corner. So it's just one of those things, going back to first gear, the bike just doesn't deal with it well, which is really annoying, because that corner, it's in between first, second. You can use second, but sometimes first is better just for trying to get the run out. Now we are behind Biker, who's in the last point paying position at the moment in the sprint. Touch wide there from a previous corner, but looks like he's recovered well. That's Endrick in front of him. So again, 3 riders at the start that I said were probably out of position. We're still out of position, 9, 10 and 11th position at the moment. Biker just doesn't look set here. Just a couple of apexes gone a miss, and I am catching quite relatively quickly here, so we're probably going to try and make a move. We're just about starting the last lap now. The leader's already on the last lap, and you can just see that kind of pinging from the M1 in front. I believe that to be Biker going into first gear. Once again, just doesn't get the apex of the final corner, which sacrifices his run. He gives a wave again, massive respect between the 2 of us, and I ride my way into P9 and just take, or P10, soon to be P9, as the max order looks like it hasn't updated yet. So it's points again. So can we really catch Endrick? Probably not. It's about a second and a bit in 1 lap. It's going to take something special if we're going to pull that in, so I wasn't really holding my breath that I could do it. You can see now we're going into power 1 for this last lap to really try and send the envelope and to get another position back. But really, at this point, we're already 40 seconds down in 10 laps. That just shows how much time we lost with the race, the crash after the end of the first lap, and then the tip off in here. So it was one of those frustrating races where, as you can see about my lap time, pretty quick. Like, there's probably not many other people on track who had this sort of speed, but I was just constantly at the back of the grid. So coming into the main race, it's going to be 19 laps on paper, obviously 20 with the extra lap after the start light issues. So it's going to be a long race there. So we're kind of coming into that. That was the mindset of thinking, right, let's reset, let's hopefully get to turn 1. Turn 1 isn't a long drag, so in my head I'm thinking we should be able to, if we can just get a decent start and get to turn 1, that could be it. That could be the start we need. We've yet to be able to battle the likes of Luke Hydrock or Endrick, really. I know we had a small battle with him in Valencia, but I caught him past him and then I fell off, so it was pretty annoying in that sense. That was another crash there for someone, I'm not too sure. I feel like he was crashed at lap 4 and just didn't get up. But we don't end up catching Endrick on the final lap, and it is a P8 finish. So in the end, decent result, nothing special. Savani wins it, no surprise. Luke Hydrock in P2. Mr. Prune, slightly blood nose kind of territory up in the P3. He got knocked off early on and then kept his cool and put in a very, very solid result in getting his first podium of the season. Foxer recovers to P4 and Bunta in the top 5. Now, once again, another start. I'm getting scared at this point because my start's been so bad. The initial start, again, looks to be good, as you see now. Lights held for longer than expected. I matched Savani and the bike just starts to kind of go. You can see there we kind of balked the run of Luke Hydrock accidentally, but again, I can't really do much. But look, we've made turn 1. Hooray! Straight away now I'm thinking, job. At this point I'm kind of going, whoa, what do we do now? I don't really know what to do from here. So we're behind Savani. We're kind of thinking clean opening 2 laps. Again, go back to the temperature. You can't give it absolute hell. You can see Savani even in front of me looks quite don't say slow, he looks very, very kind of calm, and everything he's doing is very slow input, so I'd imagine he's trying to just get the tyres in a nice window. You can see straight away there the bike already getting the warning light for overheating, so it just shows the ambient temperature as well is absolutely ridiculous. At the end of the back straight we just have a small bobble, so if you don't understand the format, basically we do qualifying and warm up in the session for the sprint, and then we will basically get put into another session, and the grid is decided by the host, recreated of the previous qualifying. So we're going into this one on a much greener track, you could say. So early on here I'm just a bit tentative. Savani is definitely pushing the envelope a bit more than I am. I'm really just trying to be smooth and try and hit my apex and try and be cautious mainly, and you can see there again small snap from the rear, and this is all just because the tyres aren't getting the performance they need right now, as well as the lack of grip down from rubber on just a lap. So we only had like a 10-minute warm up between this and the sprint in between. You can see Frisky goes for a move, and I'm not too sure if he thought he was going to get into the side of me, but he looks like he just grabbed a handful at the last moment, and that is enough to tux the front, unfortunately for him. So that's a big dent in his race. But I think as I watched it back, first off I thought at the time that he got skittled, just the way the bike was. It looked like he'd gotten it stopped, and for kind of no other reason the bike just face planted, and I was convinced the way the bike kind of rotated in the kind of corner of my shot, he got basically collected and punted by someone else. But when I watched it back, it actually turns out he just looks like he's in maybe a bit deep, maybe caught up by a different line, maybe unsighted behind me, and I feel like maybe just a small issue from him, and he just tries not to hit me and just pinches a bit more brake, and that's kind of his downfall. And unfortunately a small mistake, and it ends up in a big penalty really from. So we cut back here very aggressively against N-Jerk. Now at the time, threw the hand up, just say sorry, because we come very close, but I didn't realise he was that close behind. I'm the lead rider, I feel like I didn't really do anything wrong there. I just at the time I felt, oh, got very close, I'll kind of throw the hand up just as like, didn't mean to cut him up that aggressively, but there's no contact and stuff like that, and I didn't really. I think he was being optimistic at trying to have a look up the inside there, kind of run it around the inside part of the corner. Green flag there, not too sure who's gone down behind. It's number 58, which is Adric, so one of our faster Spanish friends has tucked the front into the start of the Aston section. You can see already Savani's after putting a very nice gap here early on. The issue I'm just having is just with the green track, the extreme temperatures, it's a bit difficult to get the bike kind of planted and settled. It's just a bit nervous. Like you saw previous lap that we just had a small moment, just everywhere you're getting on the power of the edge of the tyre, the bike is moving, and to be honest, I'm much happier when the bike is, like, you'll see later in the race when the track's rubbing in a bit more and the tyres are nicer, you'll see the bike's a bit more planted and steady, and that's much more the way I prefer the feeling for the bike, especially in the current state of GB bikes. I feel like when the bike moves around too much, it just gets amplified by either the mod or the physics or whatever you want to say, and it can end up just being kind of fatal, and you can't really have any way of saving it. Now you can see 3 minutes 17 for our first technical lap, even though it's 2 laps, just because of essentially the start lights are behind you on the grid, which means you have to do a whole lap before you technically start the first lap. That's all that is. It happens on a couple of tracks. It's small. I think it's a mistake when people have the start line and the finish line differently, from what I believe. But we are about maybe half a second ahead of N-Jerk. And now at this point of the race, because of Max Hud bouncing around, I thought it was Luke Hyde-Rock behind me. So his pace is a bit more threatening than N-Jerk's. And to be honest, at this point of the race, and especially in lap like 4 and 5, I was thinking, God, I have so many laps left. This is going to be such an endurance race, because at this point you're trying so hard to be honest, you kind of accept when it's Savani, unless he makes a mistake, you're probably not going to match him lap for lap and kind of run away and battle him. It's going to be very difficult, especially when he's on a GP23. Arguably has better equipment as well, so it's going to be an almost impossible task to essentially beat the Italian. So you've kind of always accepted that it's pretty much Prime Lorenzo who's gotten to the front, and you just kind of wave him off, and you kind of just think, well, you never know, it is potentially you can make a mistake. Now when we crossed the lap for the previous lap, it was 0.6, following lap 0.32, and then jump onto the end of lap 9, I was going up to over 4 seconds. So when I kind of found out I was N-Jerk behind, I was a bit more comfortable the way I had the pace basically over him in Valencia, and in here as well I just felt much more comfortable than him maybe, and just the pace was just seemed better. And unfortunately that was literally the race. There was nothing else happening. We've jumped here now to the last couple of laps, and we've been banging out 36s for fun. again, the race pace was really strong, really consistent, which is the kind of good thing. And again, when you're league racing, if you're making mistakes and crashing a lot, it's very annoying. But if you're getting taken out, but you're having good results and good performances, deep down you're kind of thinking to yourself, well, like if I did that from the front row, didn't have an incident, I would have got P2, P1, P3. And this is a prime example. Now this was a good one for me, because I'd done the business in the sprint of Valencia, I did the business in the main race in Valencia, and I had small incidents that just cost me good results. Then again, in this sprint here in Argentina, I struggled again because pace was there, the consistency was there, but just a couple of things didn't go my way, and that really just cost me. And unfortunately, it just kind of put a shine on the event for me. But thankfully, here in the main race here in Argentina, we do get the nice consistent run to the line, and we get to kind of show off what we can do when we don't get taken out or have collisions like that. So we are really showing that we're one of the quicker men on our day, and you can just see now at this point, as I said a couple of minutes ago, about how much smoother now I look. I look like I'm backing off and going quite slow, but I'm still putting in 36.4s and run for another 36.1 or 2 here at the moment. So like the pace is absolutely rapid that we're going. So if you aren't really in the know, you look like that I've completely backed it off and thought I've given up and just kind of gave it to Savani. But we are pretty much on really good pace, and it ends up being a 36.6, like, but that's better than most people's qualifying lap. So to be able to kind of do, I think 36s throughout the race was really special to be able to do it on such a green track with a hard front tire and a medium rear. Again, just went with a little stiffer compounds on front and rear, just with the temperature, and this track you're on the edge of tire for a lot of it, and you kind of see now 14-15 seconds to Savani here on this last lap. Now it was dropped to 8 seconds. I'm imagining he's had a little spill somewhere, so he does have that in his locker, Savani. I think he's so quick he can maybe lose concentration every once in a while, and he must have dropped it somewhere because we're much closer. Now he might be pulling wheelies everywhere and celebrating, but I presume that's not in his style. He likes to win it kind of fair and square and put the mantra down. So we've good 20, 16, 15 seconds over Hendrick, so we comfortably had him covered for today. Adrix and Biker, I believe, is the other man. Now Biker is not on screen, but if you look at the minimap, he is pretty much rammed in there. He, I believe, had a little stutter coming across the line at the end of lap 2, and kind of an internet dropout kind of thing, and that ends up putting kind of pay to his race in terms of results. Now it's perfectly fine, it got sorted afterwards and the results stood, but I think he ends up around P4, P5, so he was battling for the podium at one point and made a small mistake. Did exactly the same thing I did in the sprint, where he was coming into the difficult turn 5 and just down into first gear, and the bike just absolutely killed him and started bucking and moving. But finally, first podium, we've finally gotten our decent results and shown off what we can do when we get a clean run, and it was nice to perform. And again, only 7 seconds back from Savani, and a big margin between me and Hendrick. So really one of the faster men, probably not performing as well, but me and Savani head of the field once again was a nice result. And I must say I did enjoy it. After kind of first 5-6 laps are gone and I got a small gap, I really relaxed into the race, and just the race pace was really good, so I was quite comfortable for most of that. But it was nice just to get the pace over the line and finally show I can actually do it. So Savani wins it from myself, Hendrick rounds out third on the podium, Frisky gets P4, and like I said, Biker rounds out the top 5. So see, like 32-minute races there. It's a long race, and it was just an interesting one. But we have the championship standings here. So Savani leads 18 points over Luke Rock going into the last round. It's going to be difficult. Hendrick in third. We might have a chance of getting the top 3 in the championship, but it's going to be difficult. But we're going to leave it there. Hope you have enjoyed. If you did, drop a like down below, subscribe to see more, and just catch you all in a future episode. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Slán go full.